This is the Loyalist Shankill Road. It was at the heart of Northern Ireland's troubles and saw its fair share of misery. Its people suffered at the hands of nationalist terrorism and produced many of its own.
Well, my name is Billy Hutchison. I'm a former UVF life sentence prisoner. So I was involved in the conflict. I got involved in the conflict in and around about 71, 72. And our area was being attacked by the IRA.
Billy was involved in the ceasefires on the run-up to the 1998 Good Friday Agreement and says these only came about because of the Irish government's assurances that the Union was safe.
We had been talking to representatives of the Irish government, and they were very clear to us at that particular time that we had said that any ceasefires and moving forward be based on the premise that the Union was safe, and they had said that what they wanted to do was to act as a guarantor for nationalists, and so we were happy with it. But they said they weren't going to tinker with the United Ireland because the British government were the people who were actually going to be running this, and they were saying that they were an ally of the British and didn't want to get into all those discussions. At the minute, there is no confidence in the Assembly for the simple reason that there is no confidence in the parties working together because they don't trust each other. And one of the reasons why they don't trust each other is because of the protocols that has been implemented because of Brexit. The British government decided to bin the Act of Union. They also decided to bin the Good Friday Agreement. It's a very sensitive time. I think that people in this country are angry, particularly unionists, and I think that people should remember that, because people keep talking about we moved the border from Killeen, which is just outside Newry. It was there 100 years, and now it's been moved into British ports. It's a no-brainer. People are angry, and lots of people, including people in paramilitary, people in former paramilitaries, former ex-prisoners and people like that, have been working to try to keep a lid on this. Now, my view has been all along that this is a political problem, it needs a political solution. But, if the British government doesn't listen to this, it certainly will cause some sort of insurrection. I'm not saying it's going to be like it was in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s, but the point about it was somebody will take action, and they need to actually realise it. I don't want my economy to be lined up with the EU or with Dublin. I want it lined up with London. And the difficulty I have with this is, that people are talking about, it's an all-Ireland economy. Well, whenever the Republic had the Tiger economy, or whatever they called it, they cut the corporation tax and actually tried to outdo Northern Ireland on the UK. So they weren't very kind neighbours whenever they did that.
These peace walls behind me run all through Belfast. They're to separate two communities over 20 years on from the signing of the Good Friday Agreement. Europe believes that the protocol is here to protect it. In truth, Unionists see it as divisive as the structure behind me. Winston Irvine, also a member of the PUP, fears the lack of understanding of loyalism and could lead to further violence, and says they found it hard to keep a lid on the trouble at the peace line in April. He says the radicalisation of a new generation is happening.
Well, I was on the ground during those few days back at the start of April, trying to deal with the situation, and what I saw was a radicalisation of hundreds of people on both sides of the community. I mean, to be clear about this, the flare-up that was on the 6th and 7th of April of this year was at the separation barrier that separates the Shankill Road and Woodvale from the nationalist Springfield Road. We were minutes away at one point from that street violence spilling over into something much more serious. And what was incredible at that time was that the local media here were seemingly either oblivious or chose to completely ignore the significance and the dangerous nature of what was going on. I mean, I was seeing plane loads of journalists from all over the world fly into Northern Ireland, and yet our local media here were missing in action. And that very much feeds into the assessment that local media here aren't taking serious the concerns within the Unionist and Loyalist community, that they are trying to write this off as something else. And I think that's a very dangerous mistake. People need to be reporting the facts, and the fact is that there is a constitutional issue here. There's an issue around sovereignty. There's an issue around political identity that this protocol is wrapped up in, and yet there doesn't seem to be, even a basic understanding of what's going on here in the streets of Northern Ireland.
Whatever the financial deals are that Europe have to offer, if its political and working class unionist voices are not heard, it could be a long, divisive winter.